Hey everyone, so in today's tutorial we're going to be creating another game with Pygame, and in this one we're going to be creating a simplified version of Flappy Bird. And so we're going to basically have a bird and try to fly through one gap, and in a later version we might even add multiple gaps. So the first thing we want to do, since this is going to be in Pygame, we want to import our modules. So import modules, we want to first import Pygame, import our time module and our random module. So these two modules, the time and the random module, will come in later. Now that we have that, we can initiate Pygame. And I want to note this is always needed. And to start Pygame, we just say pygame.init. And to quit out of Pygame, we just say pygame.quit. Pygame.quit, and then quit. And now if you run this, well, nothing's going to happen since we haven't actually added any code inside. Now we can add RGB colors. We can say black is 0, 0, 0, brown is equal to 128, 64, 64. Now we can set up our window. So when we're setting up our window, we want to set a window width. This is going to be equal to 400 pixels, and the window height, and this is going to be equal to 500 pixels. Now we can create our window. So window is equal to pygame.display.setMode, and the dimensions window width and window height. And now we can pygame.display.set caption, and we'll set the caption to something like Flappy Bird. Now if I save and run our code, well, you notice that there was a black screen, a black window that popped up and disappeared immediately. And to actually prevent that from disappearing immediately and to actually keep it on the screen, we can create a function. So define game function, and what this function will do is that it will keep running and allow the screen to display. So we want to define a game loop, and we want to create a while loop. So while this while loop is true, for event in pygame.event.get, if event.type is equal to pygame type is equal to pygame.quit, pygame.quit, and then we want to quit out again. And now we want to pygame.display.update. So what this while loop does is that it lets the game keep running and lets the window stay up on the screen. And what this if statement does is that it checks if the user wants to exit the game. It will basically let the user exit the game. So if the user wants to stop the game from running, this if statement will basically stop Pygame. And this update statement, so pygame.display.update, will keep the window running inside this while true loop. And now we want to actually call this loop in our main. So main loop, and we want to call the game loop function. So if I save this and run what we have, oops, let's see. Let's see what we have here. 24 for event in pygame.event.get. If event.type is equal to be equal to. So now that we added that, we fixed that little error, and now we have this window that is staying on our screen. So that's good. Now we can actually add in our images. So we saw that was just a black screen. Let's add in our images now. And I want to know every single image that we use, or that I use in this video, is going to be in the description, so you can follow along exactly how I do it. So background image is going to be equal to pygame.image.load, and mine is going to be in a folder called images, and the name is bird background.png. Now we can add another image. Bird image is equal to pygame.image.load images / bird.png. So now we can actually add this into our game loop to actually show our bird background in our bird. So right here, we want to blit, so window.blit our background image. And this will basically just show our image onto the screen. And this coordinate point 0, 0, that's going to be the top left part of our screen. So I'll save it and run, and then it will show the background image of that part. And there you have it. Now we have a nice background in our game. So let's move on to actually adding a bird. And before we actually show our bird, let's create another class, or let's create a class called player. And this will basically allow the bird to fall. It will define all the bird variables and give it allow it to have updates. So define init self.image is going to be equal to the bird image that we got above. Self.width is going to be equal to self.image.getWidth. So this is going to get the image width. Self.height is self.image.getHeight. Self.x is going to be equal to int window width over 6. And self.y is going to be equal to int window height over 2 minus 60. And then we could set the self.speed y equal to 2. And this is going to be the falling speed, because we obviously want our bird to fall. So now in our game loop, let's create an object of our player class. So player is equal to player. And then below where we blit our background image, we can window.blit our player.image at the location player.x and player.y. So if I save this and run what we have so far, well, now we have a bird. That's good. So now what we can add is speed. So we want the bird to actually fall down. And when we press space, we want it to bounce up. So in our player class, we can create another function. So define update. And this will basically check for movement, or actually move the bird. So let's define a variable. Key state is equal to pygame.key.getPressed. And this will get whatever key is pressed. If key state pygame.key space is pressed, then I want to set self.speed y equal to -3. Else, if something else is pressed or just nothing is pressed at all, then I want to set self.speed y equal to 2. And note that this -3, that's going to be the upward speed at which the bird bounces up, and this 2 is going to be the downward speed when the bird falls. And we can actually change the y value. So self.y is equal to the previous self.y value plus self.speed y. And now in our game loop, right above where we blit our player and background image, here, let's call the update function. So player.update. So if we save this and run what we have, let's see, but one was given, player.update, 49, scroll up, update, and this, there should be a self, as a parameter. Alright, now you see that our bird falls, and if I press space or even hold space, then the bird will fly up. So now, there's another problem. You see the bird can go through the ground, which is not what we want, and the bird can even go above, right here, above the top boundary. So now that we've noticed two problems, let's actually create a boundary and set boundary checking. So above our player class, let's create a boundary. And this is going to be the bottom boundary. So bottom B is going to be equal to 446. And in our update function, we can just check for boundaries. So check boundary, top and bottom. So we want to see if self.y is less than 0, self.y is going to be equal to 0. And what this first if statement checks is for the top boundary. If self.y is equal to, or self.y plus self.height is greater than the bottom boundary, then self.y is equal to bottom boundary minus self.height. And this just checks for the bottom boundary. And so if it tries to go past one of the boundaries, it will never let it go past. It will just set the boundary or the y position to that boundary height. And now if I save this and run what we have, then the bird can't pass through the floor. There you see. And hopefully the bird can, yep, the bird cannot pass through the ceiling either. Great. So I'll see you guys, this is the end of the first part. I'll see you guys in the next part.